but you know, I experienced all the gay shit. So
Kirk, I will not. Okay. You know him from his work on television shows like For Life, Marvel's Runaways, 13 Reasons Why, and American Crime. And the latest feather in his cap is TV drama Free Will, which is in the works at Fox. His brilliant mind is the engine behind so many of the shows that we obsess over. Writer, creator, and certified big dog, my buddy, Kirk Moore. Give it up for yourself, Kirk.
hey, what's up? Hey, you made me sound like I was like, wait, ooh, okay. You made me sound dateable.
Listen, are you dating somebody?
Ain't nobody thinking about me.
You're lying, guys. He's lying. Before we jump in, make sure remember to hit the like button and subscribe. Kirk, why do you say that nobody's thinking about you?
I'll make people mad because I do work a lot, and because it has taken, I won't say it took me a long time to get here, but because it did take me a minute to get here, like if I gotta choose between dude and work, then I don't like talking on the phone like that. I don't like being on FaceTime. So COVID don't help, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't want to be on FaceTime with you. Do not do not blind FaceTime call me.
Thank you.
Do not face, if when I see a number or face or whatever the shit is on my FaceTime and I know I haven't talked to you beforehand and for you to give me the heads up, I am instantly pissed at you for the rest of the day.
Everyone out there watching, Kirk is from Houston. I personally have never been to Houston before. I mean, I've been there on a layover, maybe. I have no idea. What is the vibe like?
Houston is a very sort of like mixed, multicultural city. It's, you know, I grew up on the north side of Houston, north side, so northeast side. Like it's country as hell, but like it's black as hell too.
Mm-hmm.
Like so example, like I told my roommate, I was like, watch, because he had never been to Houston. I said, I guarantee you gonna see a dude go down my grandmother's street in some Jordans riding a horse. And I guarantee you, second day he was there, dude riding a horse down the street, Jay strapped on, getting it. What's up, Mr. Mo? What's up, Miss Mo? How you doing? What's up? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's that. Sorry, I'm wiping my nose. I'm like I said, I'm trying to get over this.
Kirk is recovering from, it's not Corona.
Not Corona. I'm not Corona. Now I want people to think I'm on coke. So you know what I'm saying. So it's like
With a nose wipe.
you know, I keep it like, what's going on with Kirk? No.
But no, so the fact that you have continued to power through all of your responsibilities, and I say that, but I mean it because a lot of people, you know, are using Corona and quarantine, rightfully so, to just do all self-care, to not, to try to disconnect from work.
You know, I need to practice more. I definitely, the last week or two really like showed me like, yo, you had to like not necessarily slow down. It's just like for me, I'll give myself an arbitrary deadline. You know what I'm saying? So like something will be due on like, let me look on this, let me look at my something will be due on a fourth. I'll be like, okay, I need to finish on like July 28th.
That's good. That's not bad.
But as I am, as life is happening and as stuff is happening and job and work, now I'm like pushing myself because I done gave myself this arbitrary ass deadline. And for me, like I always tell people, I am a finish line type of person. Like I have to finish. That's why I don't play like video games. You know, like people just play video games when they just riding around in a car. No, I gotta win. I had an interview that I had to do for a project, and so I was at UCLA Hospital. Like I'm just gonna take the meeting. So I had my gown on. They called. They were like, "Where are you and what do you have on?" I was like, "I have on a gown. I am at the hospital." They were like, "Are you okay to take the meeting?" I was like, "Yeah, now we good." That's me. to a fault.
I was going to say that might not be the healthiest attitude to have.
After this stint right here, I literally have been going to bed before 10 o'clock every night. Um, when work is done, work is done. I wake up pretty early. I'll start to do work in the morning. I'll get things done before I start the room. We're in the For Life room right now for season 2.
And when you say the room, you mean the writer's room?
The
You're the
writer's room,
supervising
which is,
producer.
yes. So I'm supervising producer on For Life. We're now doing, it's all Zoom. It's just like this. So, but great room. I'm working with someone I worked with on American Crime, who is a dear, dear friend of mine. Shout out to Sonae Hoffman. She's amazing. I love, love, love her. It is the type of show that like I enjoy working on. It's fun. It has social relevance. And when I say fun, I mean that like there's still like there's a love triangle, and there's the daughter, there's still so many things going on, so it doesn't feel like oppressive. It is a show about hope, you know what I mean? And so,
Yeah.
and it also is critical of it's critical of law enforcement and the way that they handle things. Like I
And
said,
your dad is former law enforcement, right?
my dad is former law enforcement, 35 years.
So that's
Um,
major coming from someone who comes from a law enforcement family, and the fact that it's timely is also important. I'm just gonna be honest. Like I hesitated to watch it at first because between all the civil unrest and watching
yeah,
black men get murdered in the street and get unfairly prosecuted and
right.
get these heavy sentences. When I watch television now, I want to escape the
I get it.
bad.
I'm always watching Golden Girls. So, and when I'm not watching Golden Girls, I'm watching some crazy BBC soap, or I'm watching Scooby Doo. Scooby Doo is one of my really fun escapes. And I don't know why I love it. Scooby Doo, Golden Girls, and Judge Judy, like they do it for me.
I want to know about the free will process. The free
Okay.
will is a 1 hour. It's a 1 hour. Yes, a 1 hour drama.
Wow.
1 hour
Mhm.
drama in the works at Fox. It is about a black family. I'm telling you about your own show. I'm telling them about your show.
Let me know.
I'm letting you know. It's about a black family in New Orleans who run a psychic business. You
Yes,
used to work at a psychic company.
I did.
Did
So
you draw from that experience to create the idea for this show?
listen, there would be no this world would not exist without me having that job. Had I not worked at a company, I would have probably been a lot more cynical about um about the process than I am now, and about the way that I approach this family. I worked at a company where, there were people who I honestly, truly believe have intuitive abilities. That's
So,
just
well,
what it,
hold on, back up. So, you believe in a psychic's ability to foresee the future? You believe in?
well, see, and that's okay. So like I worked at a company. I originally started in customer service, which is I worked third shift. So I worked 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. So you can imagine people calling a psychic at 3 o'clock in the morning. You realize that they're just not calling about what's going to happen tomorrow. They're calling about, does she love me? Does this younger woman love me? I mean, the majority of our calls were love and relationship questions, were about love and relationships.
They needed a therapist.
And they would always say, this is cheaper than therapy.
Okay.
Now, I don't necessarily know if that's true, because I have a therapist and I think that it's actually not cheaper. Um, but what I will say is that it really opened my eyes into the types of people who work at a psychic company, and the types of people who call there. It could be somebody erratic, as somebody who is in love with a stripper, literally. Or it can be someone who is an older male who has money and who's fallen in love with a younger woman, and he's very insecure about it, and he doesn't want to talk about it to his male friends, so he calls a psychic and talks about it.
Or do you have to suspend all rationale and all
I
logic.
no, I don't think so at all. I mean, just like I can believe, listen, when people say like, Scorpio, Leo, Cancer, all of that stuff like that, listen, when you look at them Scorpio traits, I'll be like,
Are you a Scorpio?
yes, I am.
What are you? November?
November 2nd.
Okay.
Yeah, what are you?
I'm a Virgo, and I'm true to
Oh,
being a Virgo, but at the same time, the logical, rational, practical part of my mind is like, you can always pull out something from anything.
right. But then it's crazy when you meet five Virgos and you like, damn, y'all all act alike. So I worked in customer service for a year. Then I got promoted to psychic management.
Oh,
So when psychic management is basically like psychic HR. You hire the psychics, you market them, you write their bios, you read their testimonials, you make sure that their phones work, you make sure that they don't violate California law, like that. So
oh,
then,
back up. So this wasn't even in Texas. When you moved here, you were working for a psychic company.
yeah, I listen. I worked for a psychic company until the day after Memorial Day, and then I got hired on American Crime, and I left there and went to American Crime the very next day.
Continue.
So I worked in psychic management, and part of the process was I had to do readings with these psychics. And I will say this, there was this one guy, and I remember like his name was Brandon. He shook my whole world up because he was like, do you write crime fiction? And I was like, and at the time I had just entered Writers on the Verge, and I had written an episode of Southland. And I was like, well, not really, but like, I guess. He was like, well, do you have a law enforcement background?
Well, hold on. Was this one of the psychics or a customer calling in?
Psychic. I'm interviewed because the interview, the psychic is reading me.
Okay.
So like I was like, yeah, I was like, my dad works in law enforcement. He was like, and you sure you don't you sure you don't have any and like a thing for crime fiction or crime? I was like, well, I did just write an episode for a spec episode for Southland, cop drama, um, for this writing program that I wanted to be in. And then we got to talking, and part of the thing is like once they get a couple things right, then you start to talk to them. You know what I mean? But again, I do think that it takes someone with a real intuitive ability to be able to pick up on those things, just like a therapist or just like a life coach. Like, the company's motto was we bring you hope. When you watch this show, you believe that this family are psychics. At the same time, you wonder about some people and some things and some stuff that happens because I always say this show is about the line between hope, providing hope, and manipulation. I think that's a nice sort of like thematic element to explore. As far as the process, I'll rewind. So what happened is, you go on a bunch of generals. Typically a general meeting is either with a production company or with an executive at a studio, and they read your work and they like you. So they see if they want to meet you to see if you are available for shows that they are either covering or developing or, producing. So I would go on generals, and I always tell this, like I applied to the programs 3 years in a row, to Disney, Warner Brothers, Writers on the Verge. I was a finalist the first 2 years, and then my third year, I ended up getting into Writers on the Verge. Once you get into like in any of those programs, then they start to introduce you to executives. You start to go into general meetings. They generally know like what shows are potentially going to be picked up and what's been already, what shows are being developed. And so that you're sort of meeting around and meeting people so that like you can impress them and hopefully they're going to hire you. in the programs, one of the things that used to embarrass me is because a lot of the people who would be finalists would be like, it's, the assistant to Shonda Rhimes or an
Mm.
assistant on Nashville or the script coordinator on some other show. And I worked at a psychic company. So like, I didn't feel comfortable talking about that because I felt that it made me sort of lower than the people who had progressed in writing further, even if they were at the assistant level. What I didn't realize was my dumb ass should have talked about how I work at a psychic company, because damn it, there was no other writer there that was going to have that same story as me. It would be a really good conversation starter in most meetings. So what happened is, an executive that I had told, about my experiences at and you're working in a psychic company, came to me and was like, hey, I remember you said you were thinking of doing something that's like a family drama, like about psychics. And I was like, yeah. He was like, well, have you been working on it? I was like, I have a general idea of what I want to do with it. And from there, we started to work on it and develop it. Then from there, you work with that particular production company / studio entity. And then they start to add people to the team, depending on what you need and what's necessary to make your project the most viable project when you actually go out to pitch.
So for Free Will, what was the process like? How do you even start putting pen to paper, typing in, writing the script?
You come up with characters, you go back and forth with the executives who you work with and the producers that you work with, until you all come up with a story that feels true to the vision that I want, but then also feels like something that they can take out to the market so that they can sell. So it's a give and take, it's a compromise. I would say for me, one of the process was difficult, but one of the things that I think helped me out through this process is that I did not jump. This wasn't my I didn't jump from like going from Writers on the Verge or having only been on American Crime and then getting my show. This was kind of 5 years in the making. And so for me, I wasn't in a rush to have my own show. I really do think that TV is a medium that you need to learn.
Mm,
Can you get your own show and be successful, having only a year of experience? Yes, you can. They put the right people around you and you're
right.
not going to fail. For me, there was a lot to learn, and so I wanted to learn what a staff writer does, what an executive story editor does. And typically the jobs are generally the same
Right.
depending on the shows that you're on. But but once you do get to the producer level, then you start to learn about budgets and sets and writing to budget and writing to character and things that you don't think about when you're a staff writer, because you're like, I just want to write the best script possible, I'm gonna do all of this. Meanwhile, your showrunner gets that script and is like, this isn't producible. You know what I mean? So like understanding like what's producible, what like being able to look at a board and already know this is too much story. Like
Mm,
as a staff writer, I don't know if you get that because you're going through story and you want to tell everything. But when you only have 42 minutes or 55 or 60 to tell a story, then you have to be able to look and say, wait, I have 25 beats. That's probably enough because those 25 beats are going to make 48 scenes, which is probably going to be enough for me to, do my thing. So, like, to me being able to learn those things along the way, I think helped me out, in this development process and understanding that there are going to have to be compromises because as a writer, whether you're a staff writer or a producer, a co-producer, a supervising producer, this thing is gonna go through a bit of a sausage. You know
right.
what I'm saying? And this thing is gonna get twisted and turned, and you're gonna have to find creative ways to still make it your own, but at the same time satisfy your employers.
Was walking into the American Crime Writers Room on the first day that you worked, was that your first time walking into a television show's writing room?
Yes, I will pinch myself all over the place because I was very, very lucky to be in a room where, John was like, there's no hierarchy in my room. I came to American Crime on season two. Season two dealt with sexual assault.
Yeah.
It dealt with male on male sexual assault. I was the only gay male writer in the room. So there were things that they had to lean on me, and stories that I had to reveal that I probably had never told anybody, definitely not strangers.
Have you experienced sexual assault from a man?
No, I had not. I had not. But I experienced all the gay shit. So
Kirk, I will not. Okay. Um, hey.
so I definitely had a lot of experience in talking about love and being
Right.
with a boy and hiding that from your parents and stuff like that. I Those experiences I definitely did have.
Let me ask you this, Kirk. What for you is the difference between a good script and a wow script? Like, I want to be a part of this. I have to have my name attached to it.
Oh, wow. You can hit me with like a hard question. Here's what I'll say. To me, point of view matters a lot. Like, point of view and voice matter to me a lot, because those things will take you so far. Because if you have a clear point of view and a very unique, distinctive voice, that's going to take you so far. So those two things I really look for, whether that's in a new writer or whether that's a show that I want to work for, so or on. So I would say those two things matter. And then just like the way that you approach dialogue. And I think that your point of view and your voice dictates that.
Dictates, it does. It
So
does.
because of those three things separate a good script. When you're lacking in those areas, you're not moving me.
Now, Kirk, how long have you lived in LA, and how long were you living here before you got what you consider to be your break?
I've been here, oh my gosh, 14 years
Okay.
maybe.
Okay.
And I celebrated 5 years as a TV writer on March 23rd or 4th. March 23rd is my mama's birthday. So anyway, the day after Memorial Day is
Okay.
my 5 year thing. So that was 5 years. It's been a little bit over 5 years for me now.
Okay. So it took you about 9 years to become an overnight
Yes.
success.
And which is why today I did that tweet, because people were talking about, like, a lot of people were tweeting to me about like age and like, well, am I too old? And I was like, no, you are not. You are not. Like, I got an American Crime Room. I think I was the youngest person in the room and I was 35.
Hmm.
Like people in the room called me kiddo.
Well, I mean, you're young,
I'm 40.
which is young
Okay, you're
ish.
right. You're right. No, it's you. No, it's young. You're right.
When writers are anxious to get an agent or to get in front of some big exec, what are some things you would caution up and coming writers, new writers, before they put their work out into the ethos?
We're in a different world now, so it's like, we got TikTok, you got YouTube, you got all of this
True.
stuff. So you really do have a lot of different avenues to get your work out. So I tell people, like, you want it to be professional. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want it to have some sort of style. You want the sound to be good. You know what I'm saying? Like, stuff like that. But it- I would say, like, number one, like, you need a good script. Like, just bottom line. Like, you're not gonna get many jobs in at being a TV writer or a feature writer if you don't have that really great sample. You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
need that really great sample, or you need a couple of great samples.
Right.
I have a teen drama sample, and then I have a crime drama sample. I would tell people, don't write something that you want to sell, write something that you want to write.
I like that. I like that. Do you believe that everybody is a writer? I was listening to an NPR segment the other day on, I think their show called Life Kit. And the sentiment was everyone's a writer. Everybody has a book in them, just write. Do you believe that everybody really is a writer?
I don't think everybody is smart. So no, I don't. I mean, I think that people have ideas. I do think that you can be a writer. I think everyone can be a writer if they actually go and study how to be a writer. But a lot of times people just want to go and get a pad and just write. That's not it. For me, I had no scripted TV experiences, so I read a lot of pilots, and I was also a development assistant. So I got to read a lot of features. I think that people who want to break into TV or even into features, one of the things is that you need to read the scripts that are being produced. You need to read those and see, like, well, what are they doing? There are tropes in these things, and not to say that you can't get around them, but sometimes, like, they're what the audience expects,
Right.
and like, you're not writing this for yourself. Not saying that you need to think when you're writing like, oh my god, the audience is gonna hate this, but like, you do need to think like somebody else is gonna be watching this. You know,
How do you balance? How do you balance writing something that you feel good about and that's still true to the idea that first originated in your mind, but taking feedback and constructive criticism to get it to a point where it is sellable and watchable and
I
marketable?
mean, honestly, the main thing is this: like, I go into something very upfront about my intentions. I was very intentional about the type of show that I wanted to make. So if I saw that it was getting away from me, I would have to send that email and say, hey guys, like, I understand we have to do this, but like, there's some things I don't feel comfortable about. I would like us to, and then we have to have an adult conversation about it.
But is
You
it,
know,
but Kirk, isn't that so hard? Isn't that so hard as you are the newbie, the new kid on the block, but
I think,
voicing that?
well, listen, if you read my Twitter page, it's like, I
Okay,
mean,
okay, well
so,
listen. So you might be the exception because you cut up, but for other people who might not be as
right.
ballsy and as self-assured, how do
Listen,
you have that tough conversation when all you're trying to do is keep your foot in the door?
because honestly, I feel like, one, you have to go in there knowing that there has to be a compromise, but at the same time, like I'd say this all the time. Like, my dad used to say something like, if what you're saying is just, and you don't come from ill intentions, you can't worry about the consequences.
Mm.
And so that has stuck with me for a very long time. And it's how I approach stuff. If you are not coming from a bad place,
Yep.
then I can't worry about the way they interpret it.
And you've had so much success in these past 4 or 5 years. But what about when you are told no? What about rejection? How do you deal with being told no? How do you deal with really wanting an opportunity to materialize and it doesn't? And do you ever get used to the rejection?
Early in my career, I would get very butthurt. Um, I would get very butthurt, very upset. Like, I ain't doing nothing for like 3 days because I'm mad, and I would get like that. Um, Now it's like, okay, I didn't get it. There's something else gonna come. Um, and I just kind of have to sit in that kind of faith.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And say that, I have hopefully made enough relationships and a good enough name for myself that, if something passes on me, or if I pass on it, something else is going to come on. There was one experience, and I'll talk about this just because whatever, but I interviewed for Watchmen. Interview for Watchmen, had an amazing showrunner meeting with Damien Lindelof. When I tell you, I thought I had this job in the bag. Like, I was walking around in my head like, well, I'm gonna start watching this soon. Like, I'm about to start. and I did not get the job. And I was like, that was the last time that like I let myself sit in like bullshit for a minute. But like I was hurt, I was mad at everybody, my reps, I was cussing, I was hot. So I was really upset about it.
Why do you think you didn't get it?
I honestly just think he just went with who he wanted to go with.
We have reached the time in the show where we play a game called Big Dog, Little Dog, Rapid Fire. It is where I ask you a series of questions. You have to reel off the first thing that comes to your mind without giving it much thought. I am timing you and judging you internally. Rapid fire.
Shit. Okay.
Okay, listen, I think you can do it. You ready?
Let's go.
What makes you cry?
Underdog stories.
If one thing has got to go forever, which are you giving up? Fried chicken or pork chops?
Oh my God. Fried chicken.
Okay. Prince or Michael Jackson?
Michael Jackson.
Writer's room pet peeve?
People who can't get to the point.
Spike Lee or John Singleton?
Spike Lee.
15-year-old you thought that you would be doing what at this point in your life?
I thought I was gonna be a lawyer.
If you could sacrifice one thing or one person for COVID to go away today, who or what would it be?
You know exactly who it is. I ain't gonna say it, but he can go.
Okay, I know, I'm not trying to get arrested. Okay. What keeps you up at night?
Typically work.
Okay. Favorite book that you've read recently?
God, I'm gonna say the wrong title, and it's gonna. But Tristan Strong touches the sky.
Okay. That's not the title? That's not the name of the book, or?
That's the name of the book.
Okay.
Tristan Strong touches the sky. And I also just recently, actually, I take that back. The Incognito, it's a graphic novel. Best thing I ever read. Was the last thing I read. Oh, amazing.
Okay. Your least favorite show that you have watched recently?
I don't watch stuff I don't like. But I did, you know what? I watched the reunion of Vanderpump Rules.
Not good?
I just don't do all them. I don't do them little kids.
Right. Okay. And finally, the highlight of your career so far?
What? Selling Free Will.
That was good. You did such a good job.
Okay. Come on.
I love it when people can answer the questions very quickly. You did so well. That was good.
Hey, you're a TV writer. You got to think on your feet.
So you cut up on Twitter. Everybody go follow him. Like, stop what you're doing and go follow Kirk. You're Kirk Wrights, right?
Kirk Wrights 79
on Twitter. So yeah, go follow him.
I don't think I cut up.
Though. You do, but I think I'm not saying it in a derogatory bad way, because I think you're truthful. I think you're transparent. I think we can learn a lot from watching your trajectory and from your experiences, whether it's you're being sick or you selling a show or you critiquing scripts, whatever. There's so much to learn from you, but you do have some very strong opinions.
I do.
Which is great. You got to have a strong point of view. But does social media stress you out? You know, like,
you know what? It doesn't, because I don't do a lot of back and forth with people. And I think we talked about this. Like, I say what I say. If someone says something really dumb, I may reply back to them, like, just like, so people can see how stupid they are. So,
okay.
But other than that, like, I don't do a lot of back and forth. It doesn't feel like work to me. I don't do a lot of Facebook. I don't really go on Instagram hardly at all, except just to post food and to post my dogs and whatever ratchet song I'm listening to that day.
Because listen, you are into the ratchet music, which, I mean, I'm from South Georgia, so I'm into the ratchet music too.
I'm all about the trap. I'm all about listen. And if the slow song got like stretch you out by Summer Walker, you just make the stank face that you know how you exactly.
No,
So that's it.
you are very vocal about diversity or the lack of diversity. You
Yes.
had a piece in the LA Times the end of June where you talked about how Black writers, particularly, are getting hired as staff writers, but
Mhm.
we aren't getting promoted.
Right.
What are some practical ways that that issue can be addressed right away?
One is that people actually need to be held accountable for their rooms. I mean, the WGA goes into rooms and they take up like they give us speeches about sexual harassment, room conduct, what they expect from us. So I feel like if they can come to a show and do that, they can come and take a head count in a room. It doesn't take long. You know what I'm saying? Like they started the Show Your Room challenge, and only 55, I think it was only 55 or 56 rooms showed their rooms. There are almost 500 TV shows. There's a reason for that. Like there are quick and practical ways. People are just afraid because part of it is that, you know, writers hire writers. So you don't want to piss another writer off because then that writer might know 15 other writers and you might not get a job. At the same time, if I look at your career and you've been your career has been 18 years long and I know you've never hired a Black person, then I have to have a conversation with you. And I don't have a problem with that. And if you get offended because I want to have a conversation with you or because I said something about it, then that says more about you than it does about me.
My question to you is, if detractors say to you, diversity, it shouldn't it be about, the best writer wins or the best people promote,
But
how would you respond to that?
the lie is that Hollywood is a meritocracy. It's not. So like I mean we can start there. Like we can start like people get jobs by word of mouth. People get jobs who their best friends are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people going to Kylie house so they can have more record sales. You know what I'm saying? Like listen, like it is. This is not a meritocracy. It really is not. Like, should you be good? Yes, yes, you should. But I mean, here's the thing: we're 13% of the population. Don't tell me that only 5% of us are good writers. You're not gonna tell me that. I'm not gonna believe that. You're not gonna. You're just not. I've been in enough rooms. I've read enough scripts. I've been in enough rooms with Black, White, Latinx. I listen. People can learn on the job. Should you come with something? Yes. You should come with knowledge. You should come with a point of view. You should come with voice. But we should be allowed to make mistakes. Oftentimes, Black writers are not allowed to make mistakes. And so we end up, sometimes we don't move up because that person made a mistake and now their name has been sullied. Like, that's unfortunate. Like, you know how many people we get to see, white male directors make flop movies and they still get to make another one?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? We should have those same opportunities to fail. We should not have, do I want us, all our material to be good? Yes. But if it's mediocre, oh well. You know how much mediocre material we get? We should not, everything from us doesn't have to be Black excellence. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like that should not be an expectation. That's an unfair expectation placed on us by a whole bunch of people that needs to stop.
Including ourselves too. I feel like I
Yes,
see, yeah,
yes,
we do
yes.
this to ourselves too.
Now listen, I don't want people to be doing I don't want to see boom mics. You know,
Or scripts in the shot.
or scripts in the shot. I don't want to see boom mics. I don't want to see wigs turn sideways. That I don't want to see. There's a level of professionalism that I think that anybody needs to bring to a project, especially if you're calling yourself a professional. So I do think that.
Okay, let me ask you about family, because your family seems to be a huge inspiration.
Mhm.
Um, and I always like to say, I'm gonna let you go. Like the pastor likes to say, I'm gonna let you go. I am gonna let you go in a second. But first, let's talk about your family.
Mhm.
Your mom and your dad had you really young. They are so good looking. That's not even really the point of me bringing them up, but they are so
Mama, yeah, mama, daddy, y'all hear that?
they're
And
so
say y'all fine.
they're so cute. They are so cute, and I love your relationship. And I, as a Black man from the South, it warms my heart to know that you are so close with your parents, especially when in our community, homosexuality is not fully embraced.
You know, I mean, the thing is this, like, my parents was like, all right, whatever. And that was it. Like, you know, they had their questions, they had their whatever, but it's like, yo, you grown, you doing all right.
When did you come out?
Dude, oh my gosh. I thought I came out before I did, and my parents told me that I didn't.
No, I'm sorry, that's not how it works.
Yes. I literally sent them this long text, like, this is what happened, this what's going on. They said they never got it.
How old were you?
Old, old enough for them to be like, oh, okay. Like, for the most part, and this is me, like, I really didn't talk about sexuality with my parents. They really didn't talk about it. And so I mean, it literally has been one of the biggest non-motherfucking factors for me.
Good.
As far as my family goes. Now, as far as me personally, there was a lot I had to go through, a lot I dealt with, a lot of fears. Oh, my daddy ain't gonna talk to me. He a cop. I heard him say, you know, but listen, when your parents love you, your parents love you. You know what I'm saying?
But you say that so flippantly, but that's not the case with everybody, and you know that.
Yeah, it's not. It's not. I have two just I just got two. I got lucky. I just like I said, I got lucky with my jobs. I got lucky with my parents. We've gone through stuff clearly, you know.
Right.
When you have a kid and you're 17, and you go through things. But at the end of the day, they've just been so supportive. I have been really like a little like depressed because we've been in COVID and I was pretty much home here and I couldn't go home to visit my family. It's been the longest I haven't been able to see him. So like, I was like, well, Dad, what you want for your birthday? You know, and he was like, you know what? Just put some money aside for us to go on a vacation together. And I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. Like, that's like this. He was like, I don't need no clothes, no watch. You like, my player days over. I don't need that.
Not the player days, Dad.
Okay. But but he like, my dad like, I'm not going out. He like, I'm hanging out with your mama. I'm not, they go bike riding together. They go to the park together and do their miles together and all that. So, my dad is very, very big on family. Listen, when I wasn't feeling well, I told my roommate, I said, I need you to call my mama because she need to pray on this phone for me. And he called her, and my mama did a whole 25-minute nonstop prayer until I was able to fall asleep.
Aww.
You know what I'm saying? So I have, like, I'm trying not to get like, I have great parents.
Now, outside of family, who else do you like to work with? Who would you love to work with? Who is your dream collab?
Jesus, gosh, I'm trying to think. I mean, I really love Brian Fuller. So he would be somebody I think would be cool to work with. If he is a good person, I would I would love to work with him. I really do enjoy Brian Fuller's show, so that would be somebody I would really enjoy working with. I really admire what Ava does with her work, and the type of projects that she chooses. So like, those types of projects would be things that I would be passionate about. Some of the dream people that I've dreamed, I'm actually working with. So I can't necessarily say, but you know, I can't really. I mean, I would love to work with Spike. I mean, he all over you, like, you get behind me. He all over my room. I was talking about He Got Game yesterday. I would love to. I mean, he's, to me, you know, you love him or hate him, but there's genius in that. There's genius in that mind.
Yeah.
I actually would love to direct something sometimes, but like, I'm more of a small kind of guy. Like, I like to keep things small, keep things tight. So like a Richard Linklater, I mean, he writes and directs, but like, if I could shadow that, I love dialogue movies. So
Do you?
oh yeah, I love to just listen to people talk.
Hmm.
That's the bad thing about COVID. I was telling my homeboy, I'm like, now everybody got on masks. I can't see what people talking about.
And listen, I'm like, do I have a hearing problem? Because I'm like, huh? If I can't read your, I can't read your lips. I'm like, am
Yeah,
I?
and I'm a lip reader too. So like, you know, I love to observe conversations. I love to just sit down and a conversation to catch my ear, and they be like, Kirk, I'd be like, oh, I was listening to them. And my nosy ass is all in, but like you pick up rhythm, like conversation, like to me, great dialogue is all about rhythm. Like great dialogue is like music. They sing, you know? And so like there's a rhythm to the way people talk. There's a rhythm to conversation. So I like to listen to that. I would work with anybody if the project is right, honestly. Like if the project is right, if the person is right, I'm down.
Tell me one more piece of advice
Mhm.
that you would give not only any writer but any creative.
Be kind. I just listen. I can get rowdy. You see me on Twitter, but like honestly, I've worked with some really kind people. I think that it goes a long way in this business. It will help your longevity in this business. So if I would tell any creative, I would say just be kind, and and the other thing is like don't stop believing in yourself. You know, a lot of this industry is about perseverance, and I say it all the time. You know, you said it took me about 9 years. Luckily I didn't have parents who were like come back home, but like you have to persevere because it's like eventually jobs are going to open, eventually people are going to move, you know, so the industry is going to change. So you just got to keep writing those samples. Yeah, I know it's hard when you get rejected. I know it's hard when you didn't make it to the finals. I know it's hard when you didn't get picked. You know, I all those things are hard. But if you honestly want to be a writer, like that podcast you listen to that said everybody's a writer, but if you really want to be a writer, you got to write. You got to write, and you have to believe that you are good. And then lastly, listen.
I like. Plug yourself. Where can we find you? And also, what projects are you working on that we need to be looking out for?
So I'm Kirk Wright 79 pretty much on everything. So Instagram, Kirk Wright 79, Twitter, Kirk Wright 79. It's just my regular name on Facebook, but I don't really be talking about the shit on Facebook, so you don't really got to go there, unless you want to. And you know, again, I'm working on developing Free Will. I'm currently working on season 2 of For Life, and I'm working on a feature that I hope I can talk about very, very soon.
It has been a pleasure, and I hope that everyone out there has learned as much as I've learned just chatting with you today.
Okay.
Thank you, Kirk. You have to come back because we have so many other things to talk about. But
Right, we do. I'm
okay,
down. I'm down. Once my schedule clears, you know my number. I'm hoping that COVID can go away so I can cook for everybody.
and I
Like
will be there.
I'm dying to like have like the big meal, like with the 3 different types of mac and cheeses. And like I can't do it yet. I mean, even though people think I cook for an army, I mean it's 4 guys in the house.
It's way too much food, honestly. Like, it's excessive, y'all. It's excessive. Like you cook so much food. I've been looking at you out the side of my eye, like he's not quarantining because that's not food for just people in the house.
I'm quarantining.
Don't make
That's
that.
just leftovers.
Okay. When all this is over, I'll be at the house for leftovers.
Okay, I'm
Th-
with it.